Welcome to the Goalie Mindset Podcast. My name is Pete Fry, the Goalie Mindset Guy, and my purpose is to help goalies have a dominating goalie career. Pete Fry, the Goalie Mindset Guy here. This is the Goalie Mindset Podcast. Welcome. Today, I'm so excited to have on, I got to call him a legend, like a legend when you get to go through his stats on Hockey DB. I've never seen a goaltender with such consistent stats. Jeff is a former national championship goaltender for Michigan State University. Some of his accolades include USHL League MVP, College Hockey Player of the Year. Jeff has been a mentor for goaltenders at all levels and runs Future Pro USA Goalie School. Jeff is most known for being a highly successful goaltender while being only 5'6" and a severe asthmatic. On social media, you can reach Jeff at Goalie Mentors on social media there. Jeff, welcome. I'm so excited to have you on here.
Thanks, Pete. Fired up to be here. Looking forward to digging into some things.
Outstanding. So number one, there's going to be a lot of goalies that are listening that have questions on size or have doubts on themselves on size and stuff like that. So I want to cover that because you obviously overcame that, right? You overcame that, and it reminds me of one of my clients was talking to Yusei Soros, and he was standing beside him, and he's like, do you know how tall Yusei Soros is, Jeff?
I stood eye to eye to him as a backup in the American League one day. So he's only a few inches taller than me.
Like 5'8", 5'9", you think?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Because I know what they say. Says he's 5'11", 6 foot, but there's no way.
Oh, he's got to be 5'9" on a good day, I think.
Yeah. So one of my clients asked him, he goes, "How tall are you?" And his response was, "However tall I need to be to stop the puck." Which that's the best mentality. That is the best mentality.
No, he's the modern day, David as the David and Goliath. He's the one who kind of broke through and was able to establish himself to stay at the NHL level as a starter. He's amazing. His skill level is I like to think it's unparalleled. Just being the smaller goalie that tried to work through the ranks to get to that premier level, and he's certainly someone that he's my favorite goalie to watch. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he's done some amazing things. But so did you. So let's dive into your goalie career. I'm so excited. I want to cover it from like top to bottom. So when you first start, how old were you when you first discovered hockey or decided you want to play hockey? Maybe not even a goalie. Did you want to be a goalie right away, or did you just start playing hockey right away? Tell us about that. What got you interested in it?
Yeah, I had my dad played. He played college hockey at Ohio State. He was not a goalie. My uncle, he played at University of Michigan. So those are two rival schools in our area, and they were both forwards. So I was in our family a bit, So they had gotten my cousin and I into hockey at the youngest of ages, like many hockey families do. And I became a goalie, I think around 6 or 7. So played a year of just playing as a forward where everyone rotates, and then I kind of got my turn in net. And I remember, I think I got lit up. I think I lit up 7 goals, but for some reason I loved it. I remember that distinct memory, lighting up a lot of goals, but telling my dad I wanted to be a goalie. And I think he fought me a little bit on, I don't think that's good for you, but eventually I just kind of kept coming back to it and started right away. At the time, the might travel level. So, I was started young and played it ever since, was able to play it all the way through in the minors for a long time. But yeah, started young and just loved being a goalie, loved everything about it, and kind of kept growing up and growing through everything that goes along with it.
And was there a goalie that you looked up to when you're, like, say, 6 or 7 that, like, for me, it was back in the day, it was like Ken Dryden, right? But was there a goalie like that you really looked up to that kind of inspired you to be a goaltender?
Yeah, I was a Red Wing fan, so that's where I grew up, and they were right in their heyday. winning Stanley Cups and always, chasing playoff dreams. So every Red Wing goalie was my favorite. Specifically, though, Chris Osgood, he was a smaller goalie.
Mm-hmm.
I had these kind of had these small, successful goalies right on my TV every night. So I believe that was why I kind of always had this chip on my shoulder. I can do it, because I was watching it as a kid. I was seeing these smaller goalies doing it. And at the time, I, of course, wasn't thinking about size. It was just kind of the norm.
Yes, yes. And it's interesting because question for you. At what age did you believe that you could be a dominant NCAA college goaltender and play pro?
Yeah, I had the dream of being an NCAA goalie, right around, a young age, 10, 11 years old. I used to
Yeah,
go down
pretty young.
in our area in Detroit. The college hockey is a popular and easy sport to see. So we used to go down to Detroit every year at Joe Louis Arena, where they'd have the college hockey playoffs, Michigan State. And so I automatically was pursuing that as a kid. And then really it wasn't until the teenage years, that 13, 14, 15, where I was playing for a premier AAA team in our market. And our team, when I was, I think 13, we won the Quebec tournament. We were in
Huge in Pee Wee.
yeah, in Pee Wee's.
That's
That's
like an NHL style tournament.
right. Yeah. So I was on the path of playing at a competitive level.
Yeah.
And of course, as I mentioned, I was watching small goalies do it. So I always had a dream of playing college hockey. And I think, pro seemed awesome, but it was really my intention to be a college.
Well, college is so huge. Like it's
Yeah.
huge in Michigan, right? It's huge.
Right.
Huge.
Right. Right.
And the reason I asked is because you said your dad played at Ohio State and one of your relatives or uncles or something like that
Mhm.
as
My
well.
uncle played at Michigan. Yeah. He played at
Yeah.
the University of
Okay.
Michigan.
So that had to help with the belief system. And because I know I was talking to Carey Price's dad, Jerry, and I'm like, well, what age did Carey believe he could play in the NHL? He's like, well, 5 or 6. I'm like, what? He's like, well, he goes, because I played pro and then they had Shane Doan as their cousin and they had all these references, so to speak, right? Which kind of would work with the belief system there. So I thought that was interesting. Okay, let's go back to your first year, your very first year. Obviously, it's not going to be on Hockey DB when we're 6 or 7 years old, but your very first year, tell us about it. What was your, say, biggest success your first year as a goaltender?
Yeah, I was right into it for the Plymouth Stingrays here in Metro Detroit.
Plymouth Stingrays.
Plymouth Stingrays might A travel, and I think we were the league runner-up in the championship at Joe Louis Arena.
And you
So
played travel right away. So you were right into
yeah,
travel. Like
as a
none of this
goalie,
house stuff. You were travel.
I think yeah, I might have played a year of a player as a house, and then goalie must have been needed. And I was a fairly athletic kid, so I think I jumped jumped on the goalie position pretty well. And looking back, I was probably pretty fortunate that I was obviously on a pretty competitive team right off the hop. Probably helped me with my belief system, as you mentioned. I always believed I could do it. So.
Yep. Any struggles that year, your very first year, if you can remember?
Yeah, well, I couldn't remember if it was my first year or second, but I actually had to wear a patch on my eye. One of my eyes was the dominant eye. The other was a weaker eye. It wasn't, the one dominant eye was doing all the work. So I think when I was a kid that age, I had to wear this patch on one eye throughout the course of the day, and I could take it off to play goalie and everything. But I was combating with that, and yeah, I used to have like little designs on the patch. I used to have a little brick wall on some of them, or the Plymouth Stingray logo. So yeah, it was a little adversity, but as a kid, I think I just loved getting a chance to play. But nothing that my memory remembers from bigger adversity.
Got it. Got it. So you had to play almost with one eye.
I think the one I was doing all the work, yeah, probably made me a better goalie.
Yeah, I probably would. They'll do that in eye training now, right? Just have like a patch over one eye, just use one, then use the other and stuff like that.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Mhm.
And then okay, so from there, from Might, what was the next step up after Might?
Yeah, the standard climb. Actually, I went from Mite A to Mite Double A. Then my cousin Brian Lerg, he's a forward. He played at Michigan State. He had a good pro career as well. We played together, and we went to the Squirt Double A level. So we jumped up a level. Um, can't tell you why. I know my dad was one of the coaches. I don't think that was the reason why I was on the team, but he was one of the coaches, and we moved up. Um,
And were
played
you younger? Were you like, how old are you at that
Yeah,
point?
we were the year younger playing up.
Younger. So it was like, what is squirt? Squirt 9 and 10?
Yeah, it would have
And you were
been
still 8?
probably an 8-year-old playing with nine. Playing,
Okay.
it was about an 8-year-old playing with 9-year-olds. Because then after that, we made our jump into I think the 10U AAA with our normal age group.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And how did you deal with that playing with at a young age, playing with players that were, because I did the same thing. I remember with Pee Wee, I was 10. I played Pee Wee, right, which was 11 and 12. How did you deal with playing with older players? Or did it even matter?
You know what? As a kid, I'm not sure that resonated. I think it was kind of just seemed like the norm. And
The thing to do.
specifically, my Brian was my cousin, so we were basically like brothers. So I think we were mostly just kind of seamless with that older group.
Got it. Okay. And then so in squirt over those 2 years, so you spent 2 years or three in squirt?
No, I think we just did two. I think we went back to
Two.
back years, scored double A and scored double A. Yeah, I think we went back to back years that way. And
Okay.
then we went to the AAA level.
What's your biggest memory of when you played squirt?
Well, I think losing the championship. I think we were but I think looking back, I was fortunate I was on some good teams, competitive teams. And that year again, I think we lost in the finals. The finals always used to take place at Joe Louis Arena, so it's cool to kind of
Oh,
we used to pursue the opportunity to play there. And I remember 2 times as a kid making it all the way to that final and losing there, so bittersweet.
is it
Uh,
one game, like one game in elimination?
it was, the playoffs all went organically through, and then the finals
Mhm.
took place. So yeah, one game in the finals, and
Oh,
we made it. Win the semis, get to go to the big show, and came up short. But yeah, I remember good memories, and still, as we all know in the hockey world, still some friends that that you played squirts and mites with.
you still keep in touch with, because it's pretty easy with social media now. You still keep in touch with some guys you played with in squirt and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's funny. Most of them now. I mean, the various roles I have in hockey. One of them is the goalie with my goalie school, and the other one I run a hockey club here in Metro Detroit. And now I'm starting to see all of them back in the rinks again with their kids. So it's
Oh, wow. Yep.
so, yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, and then from squirt, you make the jump to Pee Wee.
Yeah,
Was
so
it
then
called Pee Wee?
we
Pee
went
Wee?
on to the AAA Honey Baked Hockey program.
Oh, that's a good program.
Yep. So that's the one, and we were able to we started there and stayed there all the way through until I went on to juniors. So we I think it was.
Oh, she stayed in Pee Wee and Bantam. You
Oh
played there
yes,
in Bantam.
yep. Every year, right back at Honey Baked,
Okay.
and it was more toward the start of that program, and we had some very very good teams. I think the name was kind of building and reputable. People were wanting to come play there, so we had some real good success there. We lost in the finals of the Brick tournament, which is obviously a good tournament in your area.
Mm-hmm. Oh, in Edmonton, the brick
Yep,
tournament.
yep. So made it there, came up short. So I'm getting a theme now. I'm looking back and losing in the finals a lot. But
When you get into the finals, which is
yeah, but
good.
then we went there, and then as I mentioned, we won that Quebec tournament.
That's
Um,
huge. So you won the tournament.
yeah, we won it. Yeah, we won it all in overtime. So that was
Wow. That must have been a great. Do you remember? You must remember that exact moment
oh
when your
yeah,
team scored,
oh yeah,
right?
yep. I
Celebrating
remember it
on the
was.
ice.
Yeah, it was that's a lifelong memory for sure. That was the tournament that was built up with high amount of anticipation. And our team was definitely a team that went there to win it.
Mhm.
We were that whole season was, Quebec or bust. Like that was we had that much success, and we're good enough to do so. And of course, I played against some awesome goalies like Jonathan Quick. I know he was at that
Oh,
tournament.
he was at that tournament.
Yeah, I just sneaked by him 1-0. He wasn't. I wasn't going to get
Nice.
much on him. But yeah, as you know, there's so many great players that have gone through. But yeah, so we won that one, and I think those type of being on a team that I had all the way through my youth and making it to those big moments time after time. Of course, we found our way on the winning side of it many times, but also came up short in the finals. I'm sure along those lines, I learned a ton of lessons along the way and what it takes to be a winner. So I was able to stay through during those the youth years and stay with Honey Baked into Bantam. We lost the Bantam. We lost a national championship in Bantams with Honey Baked.
Really? So you went, but you went all the way to national championship.
All the way there. Yep. So we had yep, and so made it all the way through there. So
Wow.
mhm.
Wow. And then okay, so Pee Wee, Bantam, and did you play midget there as well too?
Yep. So
Was it called midget?
Yeah, midget, and that was the marquee level, for all the
Yeah.
scouts. And interesting that I had my final year of midget. So one of the years I played 2 years of midget major. That was the kind of the final youth high tier level to move on to get to be going on to juniors. So the first year, my cousin Brian and I played up. So we did play as youngsters. We played up. We won our states, went to nationals and lost. We were just a solid team, nothing special. But the next year, the year of my birth year, the year with all those players that we were so successful all the way through, that crop of players came up, and John Cooper was actually our head coach. So
Wow.
yeah, it was actually his only year in youth
Seriously.
to play. Yeah, so it was just obviously at the time he was still carving his path from being a lawyer into being a coach. So he was still an active lawyer that year. But we were the #1 ranked team all year at that midget level. Us and obviously Shattuck St. Mary's with Sidney Crosby.
Okay,
So
that's the year Sid was there.
oh yeah, we had a kind of a big tilt with them, kind of the 1 versus 2 matchup, and we beat him 6-4. He had 4 assists. He was as good as advertised. And so yeah, so we had an amazing year that year that helped get me the opportunity to be seen by the many scouts, and we didn't Shattuck won nationals that year. They were loaded as they usually
Okay.
are. So
Got it. Did you guys get to the finals?
no, we didn't.
Close.
We had no, we didn't make it. We kind of got upset.
Some good teams there.
Yeah, some good teams. Yep. So, so that was that my youth was really, now kids jump teams all the time. For us, we just stayed
Yeah.
with this one program, and we're really fortunate to have many of the same kids all the way through. And then, I mentioned my last year, John Cooper was the coach. He turns out to be this NHL stud coach.
Yeah, I want to ask you a couple questions about John Cooper. What is the #1 takeaway you have from him being your coach?
By far, he's one of the best people or coaches I've been around that works to get the best out of people. Like he has a way of making everyone understand, I guess, kind of how he feels about them, and he tries to pull that out of you. He was really good at just operating people.
Okay, seems like a good people person.
Yeah, by no
Good
means
people
was he an
skills.
X's and O's genius. He was all about
Yeah.
hitting the right buttons and motivating and knowing when to be hard on people, knowing when to be their friend. And you can see why he was successful working his way up.
And how was he with yourself, like with goaltenders? Because sometimes you get coaches that are really good, but they have challenges with the way they speak to goaltenders. And how was he with you as a goalie?
Yeah, goalies, same thing. He was a clear communicator. We always knew where we stood. We knew who was playing, why they were playing, or vice versa. And as goalies, we're always looking for that feedback. He'd be dead honest with you. If he thought you played poorly, he would pump you up if you played great. there was never that feeling of kind of walking on eggshells. I wonder what the coach thinks of me, you know? So, and for me, I know he got the best out of me because I just felt comfortable and confident to be there, just, and then you just let the playing take over.
Yeah, yeah. Coaches love players that are hungry.
Yeah.
They love players that want it, that are hungry. And then when did you first, like, so when you were in Bantam and Midget, when did you first start to get recruited, say, to play in the USHL, to play junior?
Yeah, so that's where that timeline, for me, kind of that Bantam level into midgets was when you start to really understand a little bit more what you're chasing, what the steps are, truly what the steps are that you have to pursue to get to that next level. I had an older cousin who'd moved away already for juniors, so I kind of got to see that, okay, he's trying to move away to go pursue this college route. So I kind of knew what I was getting into. But at that time, up until kind of the Bantam early midget level, I never had to deal with the adversity of being a smaller goalie. I never had to be told, I was never told no. I was, as I
Yes.
mentioned, I was on some successful teams, and as a goaltender, I was kind of on a successful path. But it wasn't until I started to notice that others around me were starting to get some of the junior looks or even early college commits when I started to have some head scratching, like, how does this guy get it? And
Yeah,
I'm
perhaps in goalies that weren't even close to being as good as you,
right, right.
right?
So that was, yep. And that's where I kind of developed this chip on my shoulder. And it was like, you don't think I can do it, I can do it mentality. And it kind of fueled my fire in a sense. Specifically, I was like the NTDP, it's the U.S. National Development Program. It's
Hmm.
right in our backyard. I live 20 minutes from it. I was in the car with my cousin Brian, who I'd mentioned, he was a forward. When he received the phone call from them inviting him to join the team, they gave him, I was in the car with him, and I was, I didn't get invited to the tryouts. So, so I was, not that it's all about comparing, but it started to hit me like, this is going to be
Yeah,
really,
that
really
was your
hard.
first taste, right? Yeah, your first taste of kind of prejudice against goalies that are not super big,
Correct, correct. It
right?
was and hockey wise, like year wise, timing wise, it was kind of the time when JS Giguere was putting up that massive playoff run he went on, and
Yeah.
the trickle down effect of those NHL teams starting to only they thought bigger goalies, of course, there's some obvious benefits, so they started to kind of have that mindset and that started to trickle down. So yeah, that was the first piece of adversity, and then that really fueled my fire, and then that got me into playing up even my midget year, winning states as kind of an underage starting goalie, and it was still there wasn't all these bites, with commitments, and then it wasn't until my last year of midgets, when we were that top team, where I started to get some serious looks into the USHL. And then I went and had a couple offers, during the course of that year. We were just a loaded team. We had scouts watching us all the time.
Got it. Got it.
Mhm.
Do you find that it's more coaches or GMs that are not goaltenders that really have the issue with size? Where if the coach or the GM's a goalie, they just it's like they just want you to stop the puck. Did you find the differences there, or do you
Yeah,
find some goalies that are the same?
I have through my experience of playing it at that time. Of course, I had no idea, but yes, of course. And even looking back, and we'll get into the juniors into college, but the only reason I was able to get from good opportunity at Michigan State was because this assistant coach was a goalie, smaller goalie, and he had kind of convinced the head coach to take a chance on me, and
Yep.
so anyways, yeah, for sure. It's the goalies that have been in those positions that can kind of truly understand how you can be successful.
100%, right? Like I remember when I played, it was like, man, we play like I was I'm 6 foot. I think I would say 5'11 because back in that day You didn't have to try and make yourself look bigger, right? Nowadays, I would probably say 6'1".
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You'd still be on their list to pursue. Just,
There you
just
go.
hit the chopping. Yeah.
But a lot of times, like the bigger goalies were slower and they weren't as quick, and it's just
Yeah,
yeah,
now though people can see if you're big and you can move efficiently, there's some obvious advantages. At the time,
Vasilevsky and
yeah, yeah, exactly.
guys like that. It's crazy. Craig,
Mhm.
I work with Mad Sogard. He is 6'7" or 6'8", I think.
Mhm.
Right. He's a
Yep, yep.
big dude. Big dude there. Okay. And then tell me about the transition to junior from youth hockey to junior. How was that? What was it like mentally? Were there any fears? What was it like as far as just lifestyle goes? Did you go in like a billet to live and stuff like that? And what was it like as far as adjusting with, maybe I don't like. So were you away from home in minor hockey or not in youth hockey, or was it
Oh,
all
so during that whole youth path I just described, I was 20 minutes away,
you're at
20
home?
minute drive to the rink and back and local. And then, yeah, of course, that transition to junior hockey kind of hits you like a winter storm right in the face where you're starting to really see the seriousness of the business side of hockey. You
Mhm.
don't know that. As I was a senior in high school, moving out to Omaha, Nebraska, so 12 hours, 12-hour drive, and moving out there to go live with billets. And of course, like many things in life, you don't you hear about it, but you don't really know what it's going to be. And I had a really positive experience overall. There's by no means was there anything that was treacherous out of it, but it hits you like, hey, when the coach says, if you don't help me feed my family, you're not going to last here.
I
It's
know.
like, it's like what? Like I thought I was just coming to play hockey.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. When you play
so
junior, that's when the threats start.
yeah, oh yeah, and then you have you come in as a rookie and you're trying to get acclimated with all the older players and trying to find your path. And for me, I was that first year player. My goalie partner, I think it was on his fourth year. Juniors, a 20-year-old turning 21, so he'd been around. He had some good success. So I was kind of positioning myself, trying to work my way in, and I came, as I meant, from a successful path, but we know it's not all easy when you're trying to get that next jump. And I remember lost my first start in USHL. Um, and I think probably out of the first 7 games, I think I played one, for our team. And
Hmm.
so, it was a work where you gotta, I knew to myself, whenever that next opportunity hits, I gotta find a way to win. I gotta find a way to be successful. And my story there was I got my first win, sit on the bench for a couple games, get my next win, sit on the bench for 2 or 3 games, the next win, sit on the bench for two. I went all the way from 0-1 to 13-1. I got 13 straight wins as a rookie in the USHL. And it
Wow.
wasn't,
River City Lancers, River City Lancers.
yeah, yeah.
Is that
They
the team?
for the couple of years they were called River City, but it's Omaha Lancers was their.
Okay, okay. And were you 17 that first year?
Yeah, yep.
17 that first year. I'm just looking. It's pretty impressive. So you end up playing 35 games, 2 penalty minutes, uh, GAA of 2.2. That's pretty impressive. Save percentage 0.917 and 4 shutouts. 4 shutouts your rookie year.
Yeah, I got on a good tear there. And it wasn't, I never played back-to-back games until I was like 13-1. I remember, and it was a good learning lesson for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why the numbers kind of came together pretty well by the time things were all said and done. But it was definitely it was a grind to kind of find my way and earn my keep a little bit. And of course, coming against with another goalie partner who'd been there and done that. And yeah, so I ended up with a really, really positive stat line, wins and loss line. And then we got
Mhm.
the first round of playoffs. So I didn't end up finishing finishing well, lost in game 5 of the first round there, but or I think it was game 5. Yeah. So anyways, it was, and after that year, I remember again using this for some fuel for my fire. Was I was named on the all rookie team for the USHL, and of course there's 5 players and a goalie. All 5 players had a Division I commit. I still did not.
Mm.
So I was starting my off season with this,
And you think that was a size thing?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Not a
yeah.
performance thing. You obviously you dominated, like dominated. What's the biggest advice you would give to someone who's leaving home for the first time to go play junior? They're going to get billeted and stuff like that. What's the biggest advice you'd give them?
Yeah, I think as you're going in when you're a teenager, you don't really know how much other people are helping you.
Hmm.
Those billets are really they're doing you a favor to help you pursue your dreams. So it's at the as kids we're always thinking about just us. So the
Yep.
biggest advice I can give is you try to have that bird's eye view of look down and say, hey, like it is about you, but it's not all about you. They're here to help, but you need to help them as well, and you need to make their family life better as opposed to worse with you being there.
Good for you. So that sounds like yeah, that's a great mentality to have. I
Mhm.
love it. Great piece of advice. Great piece of advice there.
Mhm.
And so the next year, did the team move to Omaha or just change names?
No, it was the same deal, same setup. For whatever reason, they had that branding because they moved.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was nothing changed between those years. It was a new rink, and I think they just went with a different brand that name. So it was all identical, same billet, same rink, same coach, just said Omaha.
Got it. Who was your coach?
Mike Hastings.
Okay. Okay.
Yep, he's at University of Wisconsin right now, and he was some of those coaches get into the junior league, in those USHL spots for a while. He was there for a long time, and he had established a high success rate. And for me, he was, it was militaristic in the way we were run. We were curfew.
You
Uh,
had curfew?
oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, we
And
were.
so how did they check on you for curfew? They just call
Well,
your billet?
the billets were told if they're late by a minute and I find out you didn't call, you're suspended from being a billet family. So
It's a
there was
threat.
there's some threats taking place, but it was, I mean, he really worked us. Like we were a first place team and we got bag skated all the time. Like we would come off a weekend sweep and we would, we'd win both 2 or 3 games in a row, and then he would skate us for 20 minutes because we played poorly in the third period on Sunday. Just to keep us demanding more of ourselves,
Yep.
and the lose a game and get home at 1 in the morning and start running stairs in the rink.
Oh my God.
Stair sprints. We
One of
were
those.
sometimes to the rink at 6 a.m. doing stair sprints, go to school, come back for practice. So I think I like the torture a little bit. Like it made me,
That's great.
yeah, it made me into this like machine,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah. You
yeah.
could look at it two ways, right? I mean, there's some guys probably crippled from it, whereas you freaking you used it to leap forward.
Yeah, and I think it was just I had, I was chasing something. I wanted to get
Hmm.
that scholarship. I had this big chip on my shoulder to go and accomplish that. I was prepared to kind of go into this, here's 2 years of your life to try to hope and chase your dream. I wasn't just going to Omaha to just go have fun. I was going there to come out with a college scholarship. So it was all part of it. Of course, it was hard. There was times where it's like,
Oh yeah.
we have to be here at what time, and then we're doing what, and then we're coming back, and but I think for me, at least my personality, it got the best out of me. It kind of made me into this machine that just demanded excellence, and it was go there and dominate Friday, and you're not happy unless you do it again on Saturday, and then you go to bed and do it again on Sunday. It really established a high level of success being the norm for me. So I really think it was good for me, but it was definitely hard.
Yeah, yeah. And your second year there, you played 52 games. So you obviously took over the number one spot.
Mhm.
You took over the number one spot there,
Mhm.
and 2.16 GAA and 0.916 save percentage. Again, that's impressive. That is like a lot of junior stats are up and down and up and down and up and down, right? Yours are very consistent there.
Yeah, Hastings was a really good defensive coach too. You know, it was within some of the system. And then of course I was playing at a pretty high level. I won the league MVP that year. I was the junior player of the year. Uh,
Nice.
but you know how goaltending is. Like you're the hero or the GOAT, you know.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit of a product of the team's success, and we were good. I was playing well. I got a college scholarship right before that season. Michigan State committed to me.
Before the season, you
Right
got it.
before, yep. So,
Okay.
yep. So it was, I kind of had that, after the end of the year, like I told you, didn't have a commitment, then kind of worked all summer, just with this mentality, hey, I'm gonna find a way. And then fortunately, before the year got rewarded. But then I still had this, Hastings made me into this, demand more than what you've already done mentality. And I wanted to leave there with the league record for wins. That was actually my goal going into the year. And I got it on our last game of the year. So I had 36 wins that year, which at the time,
Whoa.
the USHL record was 35.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? What's that is spectacular. And you know what I think is great for the listeners here is that there's going to be coaches out there. They're going to bag skate people. They're going to make them do stairs. Exactly what they did to you, and people can complain, right? They can complain, and or they can embrace it like you did, and just say this is just making me better. Right. Did you
Yeah.
have some complainers on your team when that would happen? Did you try to stay away from them, or because every team has, a small group that is kind of negative, a small group that's positive, and kind of some people in the middle.
Yeah, I was just gonna go there because the people around me that I was around frequently always were the positive influences, So
Mm.
I was fortunate. Jeff Lavecchio, he's in the strength and conditioning world right now. He's made a good name for himself, but he was in the same mindset as me, or I was in the same mindset as him, where it was part of our journey and our gig, and we were both hard workers and chasing something. And then Paul Stasny was also kind of our.
Okay, former hockey player.
Yep. So and Paul carved out a 10, 15 year NHL career. He was everything that he was cracked up to be. And both of those guys were the two guys that we all lived on the same street, carpooled together. So we were never in this mindset of like, oh geez, I can't believe we're doing this. It was all just, yeah, it's part of it. We had a good support group where we were all high achievers in a sense, and looking to achieve more and to just help our team be successful. We all just wanted to win together. And for sure, when you get into the other end of things, and I'm sure there was a group of them that it was just more like, oh, I can't believe this is what we're doing. And those guys, unfortunately, they didn't last.
No,
Hastings,
no, they never do.
the staff weeded them out, and new guys were in. But exactly, it's the people who like I surrounded myself just luckily by where I live, they were all around me.
That's great. And then no matter what happens, we can always look at it like this is bad or this is good, right? Just the way we operate our mind. That is dynamite. And did Michigan State bring up size at all or not?
Yeah, they did.
What'd they say? That'd be
Well,
interesting.
Well, when I went on my visit, they got to the point of offering me, and the head coach said, "Well, we couldn't offer you a full ride because we didn't want to have two small goaltenders." And I was like, because the other goalie that they had was like 5'11", and I was like, "What type of reasoning is that? Like, if they're both great,
How
doesn't
about two
matter."
guys that stop the puck?
Right. So the guy there, he was a good goalie. He was an All-American as a sophomore. I came in as then I was a freshman. He was a junior by the time I got in. But anyways, he was a high caliber goalie, And it was like, what do you mean you can't give 2 full rides to small guys, you know? So it was, you know, that wasn't the biggest deal, but I heard it all the way through. You know, it was just like
Mm-hmm.
one thing after the other. Oh, you can't get to juniors, couldn't get to NTDP, you know, couldn't give you a full ride. But it was just kind of part of my MO, and you know, just kind of fueled my fire. And yes, we finished off the junior path, got into the college world. Similar situation for me where I had a really good older goalie in front of me. And my freshman year, same kind of starting point, eerily similar. That as a freshman, out of the first 6 or 7 games, I think I only played 1 or 2. You know, I got a win on my second game of the year, or second start as a freshman, but was really only my freshman year. I remember this stat. Our team had played 18 games halfway through my freshman year. I had played 6. The other goalie had played 12. So I only played a third of the games that far, and I only had a couple wins. I was kind of off to just, you know, solid, but nothing special. And then from that point, the other goalie kind of he got pulled first game after Christmas, and then was going to start again. He kind of got like an eye infection or something came up. But then from there, like luck and good fortune and good quality of play, I played 74 straight games for Michigan State over the course of.
Wow. So you finished off the rest of the year and you played. Did you play
Yeah,
every game the next year? How many
yeah,
games did you play in a season?
yep,
42?
I did. Yep, yep. So I played the rest of the games that freshman year into the next year, and then into the junior year. So it was, you know, like you're in the moment, you're not thinking of this, but looking back, of course, like he was
Yeah.
supposed to start, something came up, and then like all goalies are like, I took advantage of my opportunity. I got an opportunity to play. I got a shutout. Then they play me the next night. I got another shutout. You know what I mean? So it's like I took advantage of the opportunities I got. You know, and I look back and attribute being prepared for those and having this, you know, do or die mentality as why I was able to propel myself into more starts and then more success. You know, the junior path and my college path were pretty similar in how I was, you know, kind of slow to get rolling, kind of had to learn the lay of the land, earn my keep a little bit. But then once I got that net, like I didn't stop.
No, I can tell. I'm just looking at your stats here for Michigan State. So 31 games the first year, 42 second, 41 third, 32 fourth. I imagine the fourth year they were trying to groom another goalie, probably so they
Yeah,
gave him a few games,
it's
right?
exactly. Yeah,
That's
we got
probably
we
why.
got the next USHL goalie of the year. He was, and we were grooming him. Our team was on a little down path. I tore my ACL with a couple weeks left, and
Mm,
it was a tough senior year.
yes, yes. And your GAA in college, Michigan State, first rookie year, 1.96. Did did you win? Did you ever win the Mike Richter Award? And they might not have had it then.
They did not have that award then. My junior year, my third year there, I was in the top 10 for that Hobie Baker Award, which is the all, you know,
I'm
the.
surprised you didn't win it. Like that is impressive.
Yeah, I made it close. On the sophomore year, we won the national championship. Our second year, the year I played all the games, 42 games, so we won the national championship, and that was that they awarded me college hockey player of the year. Different than Hobie Baker, but obviously it was a great award, and it was based on the strong finish we had. We were
Hmm.
a team that was solid. You know, we were top tier team, top 15, top 20, but by no means were we the favorite. And it was just one of those moments that we live for as goalies. You get hot at the right time, you know, everything falls into place. And we had to take down top team after top team, which for me, it fit who I was, it fit the MO of our team. And I had this giant chip on my shoulder, you know, along the way, beating Ben Bishop and Corey Schneider, both in the semis and finals
Good
back to back.
goaltenders.
Yeah, those guys
You
all
beat them
carved
both.
out. Yeah, big time careers, and that was our semis and then finals in the Frozen Four was fighting a way through those two. And yeah, it was kind of, you know, the culmination of my career there of all the pursuit to get to that level and achieve that goal. You know, definitely my ultimate hockey hockey dream come true.
Oh yeah. And that is yeah, so 1.96, 2.41, 2.22, 2.94 were your stats. And save percentage 0.928, 913, 926, 917. And look at that. Three shutouts, four shutouts, two shutouts. You were a shutout machine there.
Yeah,
That's
you play enough, they happen,
yeah. That's impressive. That's impressive. Did you ever play with Chris Sullivan in Michigan State?
He was not there during my time, no.
He wasn't that, he's probably after. I think it was after that, or maybe a little bit before.
Yeah,
Okay. Just someone I know that played at Michigan State.
gotcha.
That's
Yeah,
all.
no
I said
worries.
that. And then from college, what was the transition? Tell us about the transition to pro from
Yeah,
that.
that was definitely well for me it was tough, because then the financial piece comes into it. Like the
Mhm.
juniors to college, it's obviously I had an excellent experience, probably as good as you can have for college. Meaning education was great, hockey was great, met my wife at Michigan State, all the things that you want to check, you check the boxes. It was an amazing experience. But I wanted to keep pursuing the pro path, even though I got a finance degree out of there, and it could have made
Good for
sense to
you.
move on into other fields. But people around me, all my best buddies, many of the goalies I played against and I had some success against, were all moving on to that next level of pro hockey. And I wanted to pursue it. I hadn't been proven wrong yet, so I wanted to try and pursue it. And really, I just loved being a goalie, loved hockey. It was who I was, and wanted to pursue it. But as I mentioned, I tore my ACL with 2 weeks left in college, and then rehabbed all summer. Even after everything we listed and named, I did not have an NHL opportunity with a contract, even a two-way or anything that way. The best
And do you
opportunity.
think that was strictly a size thing? It
Yeah,
was. It's not a
yeah,
performance thing. Like they
right.
should have been rewarded you for your performance,
Right. Yeah. Thank
right?
you. That was what I was thinking at the time. But no, I've had a couple people that are NHL goalie coaches, notify me, hey, listen, I wanted to try to get you into camp and even take a flyer on you, but I was told don't bring anyone to the table that's under 6'2". I've had people come up and tell me that. So it was, so for me, I tore an ACL. I'm this 5'6" tiny small goalie. There's no one in the pro game at that time. UC Saros wasn't around, that can even be looked at to even compare. Um, so I got a two-way deal to go, AHL, ECHL deal.
With the Devils, with New Jersey.
Devils, yep, with the Devils. So I did actually get invited to, assuming I was going to be healthy, get invited to their NHL training camp. So it was going to be the six of us goalies that were going to be there were Marty Brodeur and Kevin Weeks and Scott Clemenson, so like three big names that I grew up watching and seeing, and
Yeah.
in a sense idolizing. So I was working my butt off to get this ACL repaired and just go there. I knew where I was going to, eventually filter down into the lower levels of what their system was. And then 3 days before I was set to leave, I was skating with some of the guys down in Detroit. Some of my old college teammates were with the Red Wings and other pro guys. I slid into the post again and I tore my other ACL.
Ouch.
So I was just kind of getting fully recovered, amped up to go to NHL camp. And then once it happened, I was actually skating with Chris Osgood, who I mentioned earlier in this. He was still playing for the Wings. And I looked at him. I said, I just tore my ACL. He was just like, no, you didn't. I said, yes, I'm driving right back to Michigan State, going to see this doctor. I just,
Oh my.
I just had 6.5, 7 months of rehab, uh, just about completed. So that was, of course, pretty gut wrenching to try to wrap your head around that. So my whole first year of being a pro technically was kind of just based at home and
Two
rehabbing.
games played that first year. That's it.
Yeah,
That must have been was that a challenge mentally for you?
that was super tough. It was super tough watching. I mean, I just came off a very successful college career. I virtually played
Yeah.
at will, and we had a high amount of success. And then I'm seeing everyone under the sun move on to this pro game, and I've graduated out of school, so now I'm a pro hockey player with no payment coming in and no good health status. So it was definitely a challenge. And by the time I'd gotten healthy enough to play, I got in the New Jersey system, and they obviously sent me down to ECHL, their double A affiliate team in Trenton, and that team was in a playoff hunt. So the second I got there, they put me on the 21-day IR, which is the long-term injured reserve. They already had two goalies. Both were playing. The team was trying to get themselves to make the playoff position, and so that was a good learning lesson for me. I thought 21 days at that level just meant, hey, you're on it for 21 days. So I go
Mm-hmm.
into the office after the 21st day to the coach, and I say, hey, it's the 21 days are up. Do I need to sign anything to kind of get on the active roster? And they said, oh no, that's just what it's called. It's called the 21-day IR, but really that just means you're on the long-term injured list. So we'll let you know when we activate you. And I said, oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
So by the time their playoff dreams kind of came to an end, it was into only the last 2 weeks of the year. So that year I played a couple meaningless games for the team in the last 2 weekends of play in the ECHL, which of course didn't have a high amount of intensity and competitiveness. It was just more of a formality to try to get in the groove, and then before you know it, the off season was there again. So that was for sure probably the most challenging mental state that I was in, because now I was just, when you get to that pro game, you're just a chess piece, and
Yeah.
I was an injured and small chess piece that had no pro stat lines to work from, you know.
Yeah. And it's not as if they really care about us either. So you know what I mean? When we're
Right.
in pro there, it's just like you're going to perform or you're not going to perform or you're hurt. Yeah. Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
interesting. And who was the coach there?
Kevin Dean. He was,
Kevin Dean.
yeah, he was at the Bruins and their staff for a little bit.
Okay.
And yeah, so we had, it was just the minor pro hockey. Like everyone's
Yeah.
jockeying and their professional careers they're working through. I just happened to be injured at the time. It just wasn't the positive time in my pro path. I'd never been injured before. And these were long-term injuries back to back. So then as a goalie, even when I did get back, it wasn't like I felt like my same old self. You're trying to
Hmm.
get back to that rhythm, the timing, where the reads are all good. So I had only played 2 games that year, recovered, rehabbed, and had a good summer of training, kind of getting myself back in. I was able to get back to Trenton the next year. By that time I'm just on an ECHL deal, just another piece in the minor system with no real true NHL affiliation other than I'm at their double A level. And I was, I kind of had to go prove myself. That year, our team was not a successful team. And for me, I hit another injury bug right as I started to kind of get in a groove of playing well. We were doing a little two-shot drill. Both guys shot the puck at the same time, and I went to go open the hand up to go make a paddle save, and there goes the
Oh
puck
no.
off my thumb, and broken
Yeah.
thumb for 9.5 weeks in the middle of the season, which chewed up about 35 games of the
Oh
year.
wow.
Yeah. So I had this injury bug early on in that pro time, where if you're looking at my stats, you're probably scratching your head a little bit, like, huh, he came from here, you're at college, and then all of a sudden he's just kind of an average ECHL goalie, which I was at the time. I was just working through, all these injury and trying to get myself back into it, and the
Plus the
one
play
thing.
can be pretty sloppy in the ECHL as well too.
Oh yeah, it's sloppy. I was proud of that year that my second year there, our team finished like 12 games under 500, but I had my record was at 500, so I kind of found my way to be successful enough in that environment, and showed a little mental fortitude to keep myself in the ball game, to keep myself alive. And, then I was able to get an opportunity from there to go to Europe. An old goaltender at Michigan State. His name's Jason Mazzotti. He was an
Yep, I
Italian.
remember the name. Played in Calgary, didn't he, for a little bit?
Yep, yep,
Flames.
yep. And he was doing some agent work, and he had Italian passport. He was their Olympic goalie one year, and he had seen me play at Michigan State, and we had crossed paths multiple times. And he got me an opportunity to get over to Italy, and we both agreed, hey, it'd be great for you just to kind of play their schedule, work to get healthy, get yourself back to feeling at 100%. And I got another injury there, but for the most part, it was a good experience just to kind of get back into the flow of feeling like myself again. And then from there, I really, I didn't really know where I was going to go. I liked the European life at the time. I got married the summer before that, so the 2 months after I married my wife, who I met at college, we moved to Italy. So I look like a genius. I go spend.
A lot of people would love to do that. That's like an education in itself. I remember playing in Sweden for a year. It's an education in itself, just going over there.
Yeah, whole brand new life experience, right? So you just get exposed to this whole new culture and way of life. And hockey's fun, but the travel's fun. And growing up a little bit, you're married, you're just starting to come into other forms of adulthood. So it was a fun experience. Kind of opened our eyes on the European hockey front, and I knew I was having some fun. And that summer, we didn't want to go back to where we were. There were some financial difficulties there at the team, so we just wanted to find a new path. And I got an opportunity to go play in this French Pro League, which
What was it called? League Magnus?
League Magnus. Yep.
Yeah, that's a top league there.
Yep, it's the top league there. And I went to this team that was preseason ranked 14 out of 14. They were going to be dead last. But the connection that I went was based on, they had this American coach who was a friend of a friend. And he was, when I was at Michigan State, he was an assistant coach at Lake Superior State. So he had seen me play. He, just said, hey, we're going to build this team around you. You're going to be the guy, you're going to get, as a goalie, you're getting the opportunity to play. And I was still trying to get myself healthy and get through a season, non-injury filled. And it was in this beautiful town in the French Alps. And I kind of took a chance on it. For me, I could have maybe gone other ways, but it was good enough for me to even go back for a second year. So I had 2 really fun, healthy, I view them as successful years because I played a ton. I got absolutely peppered game after game. I kind of found this little groove back of this chip on my shoulder. And I had some like 60 some save games. You know how that European hockey can get a little out of control. So I got this big swagger back. And you might not see it from the stat line, but I was pretty, I got peppered a lot. I put up a lot of saves and felt good about everything. And then from there, this is where the second half of my pro career started to really find some real good success. That summer, this coach who I played for in France, his name's Rich Mitro. He's at Shattuck St. Mary's right now as their skill development and head coach of one of their teams. But he was, through his coaching past, was close with Derek Lalonde, who was just let go from the Red Wings, right? So they were chatting over the summer, and Derek was going to take over this Toledo Walleye in the ECHL. It was the Red Wing affiliate team. They had this Red Wing affiliate team, Toledo Walleye. They had just finished dead last in the league, and they got rid of everyone. They brought in a new coach, Derek Lalonde being the guy. And my situation in France was similar. That team was kind of a dead last place team. And this Rich Mitro brought me in, and we kind of propelled ourselves into a competitive landscape. So we kind of sold Derek, like, hey, if you want to do it, you got to build it off Lerg. Jeff Lerg, you build your team around him, you'll find you'll find success. And luckily that's what happened. Derek, I was the first player signed for Toledo. Walleye, he built an awesome group of guys. We went from worst to first. So then we finished first place that year in the ECHL. From
Nice. And
that
you went to
back.
the playoffs? You went to the playoffs?
Yep. So we were the number one ranked team through. We were the but the team that wins the regular season doesn't always win it all.
No,
So we lost in the conference final, game 7, triple overtime. So
got it. He
yeah,
had a good year, played 45 games.
yeah. That's where I
45
got my
games.
groove back of I kind of put
That's
my
back
foot
to
in.
normal, 2.37, 0.920.
Yeah,
Here's a question. Do you did you care about stats during the season or did you just not look at them? What was your mentality there?
I cared about them. I looked at
Oh,
them
you
all the
did.
time. Yeah, I looked at everyone's stats. I looked at the goalies in the league. I studied those things because for me, that was really the only way that I could show everyone looking that I was good enough for that next level or next, caliber of play. Like
You can measure yourself.
I wanted to lead. I wanted to have the best stats in the league. I wanted to lead the league in wins. I want to have the best goals against. I want to have the best save percentage. Like I use those as they don't always tell the whole story, but for
No,
me,
no. That's why
along
it's so impressive. Like,
yeah. Along my path, like I studied every goalie. If they had a 9.25 and I had a 9.22, I made that my mission during that game that I was going to outplay them because they had a better stat line than me.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I just
Yeah,
had to find ways to get myself to tick a little bit.
yeah. The impressive thing about your stats is that because goals against average and save percentage are like they can fluctuate so much. You can take a goalie, put him on one team, he'll have great GAA, great save percentage. Then he goes to another team with a different defensive system, and it's not so good, so to speak. Just looking from the outside, right? They're trying to come up with new things for stats now for goaltenders, right? Saves above expected, things like that. Yet the impressive thing is that because to me, there's a lot of uncontrollables in the GAA and the save percentage. So to keep it consistent like you did, like that is super impressive. Like hats off. That's super impressive. I,
Yeah,
I
thank
don't
you.
know if I've ever seen a hockey DB as good as this consistently for stats for a goalie.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think that was part of like I mentioned, part of my process was I set those goals and as you kind of explained, they are fairly lofty because I played in different styles, different
Yeah.
structure. But I think that's what helped me propel into that next layer of digging, getting more out of myself. And you love looking at stats when they're good, but you hate the ones when you're starting the year on a slow front and you're only 3-4 games in and you don't want to look at your 88% or 82% or
Yeah.
whatever it could be, right? So I always used them more just my baseline is I got to be above 91, got to get to 91, got to get to 91.
Wow. And that would just motivate you to work harder, do whatever it
Yeah,
takes.
and I think just pulled it out. In a game, if it didn't matter if I got 55 shots, I had to find a way to make that next save because they all mattered to my bottom line.
Yeah. And I know that, work because you train goalies now on a lot of technical stuff, right? Like a lot of
Right,
and
right. Yeah.
which is super important. Yet do you find that they still need to have that fight, that battle, that compete. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why seeing you and your stuff that I see online was kind of popped out to me and I started following you because it spoke to me with the way that my mind was like, yeah, there's so much knowledge given out, especially now with all the information we can get on social media and every
Mhm.
every breakdown of everything. And they're all really good. It's good to know the skill and understand the skill. But I kind of always have the phrase, there's don't become an Instagram goalie. Don't just look like
Mhm.
you're perfect in this structured drill setting. You got perfect edge work and all predictable plays, and many goalies can look good in those settings. But the true path to success is this mentality where you're constantly working to figure it out and constantly battling there could be negative thoughts in your head or positive thoughts, and you're choosing to find this positive affirmation, and you're working to learn, and you're working to just improve, and you're just finding your way through, all while becoming better technically, and all while doing those things. So you have to dance on both ends of it. And for me, I know my success was based on the mentality portion, not as much the skill portion. I of course
Mm,
had good skill and great athleticism, but it was all in my mind. Like I made myself believe that I was going to be successful.
yeah, that's huge. That is huge. What would have been three things that you would do to make yourself believe that you're going to be successful?
Yep. Well, first off, on ice practices, I was viewed as like, I don't want to say the best player on the ice, but I viewed myself as like a practice MVP.
You
I
took them
was,
seriously. You treated it like a game.
yeah, I took him like it. When I was young, I remember reading our Detroit news here, and Dominic Hasek had a quote, and he, because at the time he came in, he was this Hall of Famer, and everyone was raving about him. And he said his goal was to let up 5 goals or less in a team practice.
Mm.
I read that in the newspaper, and then I put that as my goal. I want to, these practices, I'm letting up 5 goals or less. And it made, and then I became a really good practice player. Like I was hustling on every rebound. And the first drill started from the whistle, I didn't take time to kind of get into it. I was already starting my count on how many goals, so it forced me to play well. So that built confidence for me, being successful day to day in practice. Secondly, my belief system in the off season, like I knew my opponents. I knew
Mhm.
teams I was going to play against. I knew the goalies of those teams I was going to play against. So I would envision those guys in the summer. I'd be doing 110-yard sprints on the football field, and I'd be envisioning Ben Bishop and Corey Schneider and Jonathan Quick right next to me. And
I love that.
I was gonna beat them. So if I got a chance to play them in my college season, I already knew I beat them. You know,
So you're adding in the visualization into your physical training.
Correct. Yep.
Huge,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
huge.
So that, and I would say if I get this in 15 seconds or less, I do it. So it just made me, truly believe I already did it. And then really lastly, I was a creature of habit. The consistency shows in my stat line, which you had referenced, but I was a creature of habit. I had a good process of just not too high, not too low. I just had this, rinse and repeat type of mentality of I was expecting to have success. I wasn't surprised after a big game on a Friday. I would just kind of be pretty even keel and do it again the next night. So I kept a real level head of the emotional state. I wasn't, and of course now people it's a little bit harder to maintain that with all the social plugs everyone gets. You could be reading about your 50 save performance for 24 hours before you play the next game. And
Yeah, I know.
you know, and now the newspapers didn't get around that fast, right? So
No, they
yeah,
didn't. They didn't. They didn't. I love that practice mentality. It reminds me of Jerry Rice. Jerry, the most touchdowns ever in the NFL, and basically he's also got the most touchdowns in practices in the NFL,
wow.
and that's carries over.
Mhm.
Carries over big time, big time. Then looks like so then after that, after Toledo, 2 years in Toledo, uh, you played a game in the A with San Diego. With San Diego, would have been nice to stay there a little longer. It's a nice place, San Diego.
Would have been nice, and yeah, if you're glancing through, those are my only minutes in the American Hockey League. So it was
Well, you got a perfect save percentage.
I do. That's my claim to fame.
Yeah.
So I got in. I never had an American League start, um, whether it was preseason or regular season. I think I was called up. I probably backed up probably about 15 to 18 games with the course of those years being in Trenton or in Toledo. And every time it was virtually kind of day of, go drive here or fly here, back up and do the backup routine. So I was always hoping for that moment to get that start. And that day in particular, my opportunity in San Diego was a special one for me. I mean, I was late in my career age-wise, but I'd been chasing that next level of competitiveness, and I flew out in the morning that day of the game. I was playing for Toledo Walleye. We were in Indianapolis on a Friday night. I'd finished that game on the Friday night. Coach Derek Lalonde, let me know I got called up to San Diego, and I'd fly out the next morning, Saturday morning at 6 a.m. from Indianapolis. So I made that day trip from Indy and stopped in Houston, Texas, and then got into Bakersfield, California, where the team was playing that day, and got in that afternoon. Didn't get much sleep or much rest, and then went in about halfway through the game. The team was down 5-1 at the time. The other goalie was Laurent Brossois. He was playing for
Good
Bakersfield.
goalie.
Yeah, really good goalie. So then I was able to get in. We climbed back to make it 5-4. So we like, went in enough to get it close. I didn't end up getting scored on, but we didn't get the win. And
But
you
you
know,
played well.
yeah, played well. It was good. It was a good experience. And then as most of the time that stuff, I was back 3 days later, never to be back up again. But it was for me rewarding just to know that when I got the opportunity, I took advantage of it, played my best, did everything I
Oh
could.
yeah, someone should have started you. Someone should have started you. You know
I
what I mean?
know.
And just give you the opportunity. Just
Yeah.
say let
Yeah.
like that. That's all you needed.
Yep. Yep. And it was
Oh,
fun.
man.
You know how that stuff goes. You get the chance, you got to take it. Sometimes it works out. For me, early in my career, it worked out.
Yeah.
That time it was just a good deal, good opportunity, and keep moving on.
Nice. Nice. So your last year was 2018-19 with Toledo Walleye. That was the very last. You played in France the year before. Looks like that France was kind of your last year, right? You must have just got brought in for a game the next year for
Yeah,
Toledo.
as I was getting older, so I put a lot of miles on the body. So I tore my labrum at the end of my time in France, and I was hopeful to get back that next year. I got surgery in France in the spring after that year, and then I was trying to get back healthy, and then Toledo was kind of became my it's only an hour away from me, so we had a real good relationship. I let him know, hey, if you're ever looking for a guy to back up or need anyone, let me know. I'm still trying to keep pursuing it. So that was a real cool finish, though. What happened was the last 2 weeks of the year, they needed a goalie. The last week, I came on as an emergency backup. Um, then I was able to get their last home start. I kind of got myself in good enough game form. So my last game that I ever played, it was nice. I was an hour away from home, so I got a lot of friends and family that were able to come down. I hadn't played in 13 months, so it was a
Oh,
good, but it was nice because I knew it was my last game and it was
yeah.
no pressure. It was just hey, go and play, have some fun, play in front of 8,500 crazy fans in Toledo. That game didn't matter for them. They were already in first place in the league. It was the last game of the year. So it was kind of a, you know, I don't want to say shinny hockey mentality, but in a sense, it was just like a go out and play, have fun. Doesn't matter what happens, just go and leave the game playing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really, really unique experience. Not many athletes get to finish that way.
No, no, that's dynamite.
Yeah.
That is dynamite. So looking back on your goalie career, who's your favorite goalie coach you ever had?
I would say, well, I never like goalie coaching was not structured as it is
Hmm.
formally now. So I never truly had this long-standing, off-season coach. But running the goalie, I ran a goalie school, this Future Pro USA. I started to do that as a sophomore in college, and I kind of slowly got myself on the ground with that. And I met some really good people along the way. And there's a goalie coach out in the east side of the U.S. He's in the New Jersey area. His name's George Bozak. He
Okay.
yep, he ended up being an employee for the goalie school, but then he trained me simultaneously when I was kind of playing through the Toledo ranks and all those ranks. And he was a really good, super knowledgeable. He's under Coach Bozak online. You probably see his stuff. He's really good. So, anyways, he was a knowledgeable guy that he was tough enough on me even late in my career to help get the best out of me.
Love it. And who's your favorite head coach?
I got like three of them. I love them all. But no, Derek Lalonde was, for me, my favorite. So I was sad to see him just get released from the Red Wings, but he was a goalie. He understood the
Oh,
goalies.
he was.
Yeah, he played Division III, and he like at that pro level, it's really tough because everyone kind of has this selfish mindset when you're in that AA pro level. Everyone's kind of just trying to get themselves to the next level, and there's not always this team mentality. But he was able to build this team mentality within that. And he was, for a goalie, like he was awesome. He would get us out early, 10 minutes before every practice. He knew how to get the goalies playing up to their caliber, but he didn't, we never started with a 3-on-0 backdoor. It was always, hey, goalies, we're going to get this early in practice. So let's get out there 10 minutes. Let's get our touches in. Let's get our good habits in. And then we're going to be ready to go into this game or, rush drill or whatever. So he was really good. He would explain to the goalies who was playing, why they were playing, or if you weren't playing, he'd give you, he'd have a good conversation with you. Hey, you're just not, we got to get you back playing at your highest level, So he was really good.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. What do you think of coaches that don't tell goalies until they get to the game if they're playing or not?
Completely against it.
Yeah.
It can be a motivating factor for a short period of time. It could be like when the goalies are both kind of struggling and you're just trying to, shock them a little bit. But to do it consistently, I completely do not like it.
No.
Being on both ends of it as the goalie and being in kind of the coaching world.
Yeah. I know some teams, they'll let the guys know 2 months in advance or 3 months in advance when they're playing. I love that. But
Yeah.
that's very rare.
Very rare, yeah. Usually you just want to you want to give them enough, but you want to make them keep earning it,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So wow, that's a spectacular career, like spectacular. Has Michigan State, have they retired your jersey yet?
No, and I'm happy they didn't because Trey Augustine is wearing it and he's a stud. And
Okay, okay,
so
yeah, but they should be retiring it.
yeah, no, there's been some great lineage at Michigan State goalies. Ryan Miller played there.
Hmm.
Trey Augustine now just won World Juniors again, and he's a stud. We're #1. So no, we've had some good history. I was just part of it. But yeah, that it was definitely a good time.
Nice, nice. Tell us about what you're doing now. Tell us about your future pro. Tell us about your goalie school, what you're doing, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so all these stories and all these years kind of molded me into continuing down the professional path of being part of hockey still as a coach and mentor. Met some awesome people along the way and really people who are highly influential in the game and they influenced me. And just as a sophomore in college, I started this goalie school, as many people do. They kind of just want to do something to do in the summer, make a few bucks. And eventually that kind of spiraled off into the opportunity to purchase the Future Pro USA side. There's a Future Pro Canada.
Who's that run by?
That's Steve McKeekin.
Oh yeah, he's really good. Yeah,
Yes,
Steve's
yep,
great.
yep. So he runs he owned um this Future Pro goalie school, and he had scouted for the Maple Leafs or been a
Yep.
part of that staff. So he saw me play in college, and after my senior year, I think we had a couple years of conversations, and so I had my goalie school in Metro Detroit. He had some work down here, and a lot of the students were going to each school. As I mentioned, I was kind of going through those times of injuries and keeping myself above water and monetarily I was just grinding through working, right? So I was able to get an opportunity through the help of my dad. I purchased his US side, which I kind of combined the school that I had, all the clientele into his name. And then so I've been running that, or I guess owning kind of that US side now since 2011, 2012. But I was always playing all those years. So I'd go and
Yeah.
play, come back and do this training, run summer camps, and kind of kept going. I had some hockey goalies and employees running it. My wife helped me run it even when we were from afar. But since then, I've been done about 5 years now, And now we've spiraled that into more full-time, where we're fully encompassed here in the Metro Detroit area. And our next level of that, really where I view myself, is this goalie mentor of not just the summer camps, which is what the Future Pro USA brand was purchased for and meant to be, but really that next level of, through all that history and everything I've done, and the good and the bad along the way, I know that I can be a positive influence on a lot of good goalies from all over on their way up. So really taking some pride in offering all different teaching services that way, whether they're group training or individual, and just loving my professional path, still a part of hockey.
Awesome. How can people find you?
Yeah, we're at Goalie Mentors on Instagram and on Facebook, and that's our easiest way. And we have a group of 5 full-time employees, goalie coaches, and administratively.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Anything else you want to cover, you want to share with the listeners?
No, I do just want to say thank you to you for having me, and as I mentioned, the content that you put out and the people you've had on your show here, on your podcast, and everything you've been doing it really caught my attention, because it speaks to the truth of how to navigate your way through the hockey path, specifically for goaltenders. So really appreciate you having me on, and some like-mindedness and some of the thinking, and I know that I don't know the extensiveness of all the goaltenders you work with, but I've seen enough to know that you're very impactful in the game.
I appreciate the kind words, and look forward to meeting in person one of these days soon.
Yeah, one of these days we'll
Right?
have to connect for sure. Yep.
Whether you're out west or whether I'm out in the Detroit area there.
Exactly. Yeah, it's awesome. I really look forward to continue to watch your stuff and get to know you better here.
You got it. Same here. Same here. You've been listening to or watching the Goalie Mindset Podcast. Had a special guest on today, Jeff Lerg. Fantastic, phenomenal career. I've never seen a goalie with as good as stats. You got to check him out on hockeydb.com. It just impresses the heck out of me. Don't look at my stats. Look at Jeff's, and you'll be impressed. You'll be impressed. Outstanding. Jeff, thanks a lot for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. We'll be chatting with you soon.